All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to CAAIN's webinar on completing the Smart Farm Network's full project proposal. My name is Garson Law, and I'm one of the program managers here at CAAIN. We also have on the line Patience Palmer, our other program manager, Ryan Furtis, Julie Thibault, and Eric Morin. We will be recording today's session, and we will make it available for everyone afterwards. To ask questions during the session, please use the Q&A box, and you can ask questions in either French or English. Okay, let's move on. So to start off with, I'd like to revisit the definitions of smart farms and smart farm networks. So from the program guide, a smart farm is a commercial, educational, research farm, or agricultural facility where the latest agricultural technology can be evaluated and demonstrated in a relevant environment to determine their ability to improve agricultural productivity and profitability. Smart farms are also locations where the training of the next generation of agricultural workers can take place. Similarly, smart farm networks are a collection of smart farms or a group of organizations with complementary knowledge and expertise that can support a smart farm or smart farms. Collectively, they have the potential to drive the validation, demonstration, adoption of agtech innovations. So the objectives of our Smart Farm Network program from the program guide is to provide Canadian producers and innovators an unbiased assessment of how agtech innovations can benefit their farms or not. To provide a platform for smart farms or smart farm networks to evaluate emerging agricultural technologies under commercial conditions. To promote the adoption of new agricultural technologies that will benefit the competitiveness and profitability of the Canadian agricultural sector. To foster mutually beneficial collaborations between Canadian smart farms through the sharing of best practices and leveraging of complementary knowledge and expertise. Also to foster the collaboration between organizations in Canada's wider agtech community, to support the growth of new companies, scale-up efforts, and talent creation in Canada, to create experiential learning opportunities and building the skilled agtech workforce. And lastly, to build a repository of research and evaluation data that can be anonymized and shared among smart farms and possibly the broader research community.
Sorry, Garson, an attendee is asking if this presentation will be shared.
Yes, this session is being recorded and will be made available to attendees afterwards. Okay, some important dates. So first, you'll see February 16th as a draft deadline. This is an optional deadline that applicants can use to receive feedback from CAAIN staff prior to your final submission. The deadline for the final submission for the full application and supporting materials is March 15th by 11:59 p.m. according to your own local time zone. If required, there may be a revisions stage, and we project that the deadline will be April 26th for final revisions if there is some feedback from our review process. And we're hoping that final decisions will be made by early June 2024. Please note the project end date is September 30th, 2025. This is different from the date that's listed in other material that you have, and that is because we're expecting an update from ISED that will allow us to extend this program further at a later date. But for the time being, please note September 30th, 2025 as the project end date. Here are some key program notes. Please consult the program guide for all details and contact us if you have any questions. So on eligibility, we do require cash contributions from at least 2 SMEs, small medium enterprises, as defined by Canada Revenue Agency of fewer than 500 employees. Now, CAAIN's cash contributions or reimbursements can only flow to Canadian organizations. and the activities must be novel in nature. A bit about the scope of funding from CAAIN. For this competition, CAAIN is providing up to $1 million Canadian at a 40% matching ratio of total eligible supported expenses. I'll talk a little bit more about the total eligible supported expenses later on. Please note that there is also a 5% administration fee associated with CAAIN projects. And please note that not eligible for reimbursement are contributions that are in kind, that are non-cash, or cash contributions from governmental organizations, whether it's federal, provincial, or municipal. So the full application will consist of a completed full proposal signed by the network members, a project financial workbook that we'll touch on a little bit later as well, a Gantt chart, the audited accountant reviewed or notice to read of financial statements, detailed letters of cash or in-kind commitment and participation from network members, other supporting documents such as resumes, CVs, cost estimates, publications, etc., as appropriate. And as you will have already received, a list of recommended reviewers and exclusions and considerations of linkages to foreign economies document. Now on to the application itself. Now, I won't go over all the sections in detail, but we'll highlight some of the key points for consideration. If you have specific questions regarding any of the sections that we'll be going over, please send them to us in the Q&A or contact us afterwards. So the first section is just some background information on identifying the CAAIN priorities that the activities will cover, and the appropriate technology readiness levels of the proposed activities or technologies. The next section is just asks about any regulatory approvals that are required, as well as listing the activity locations where the work will take place. And lastly, the relationship of these activities, of the proposed activities, to other projects or programs that this may be part of, may be complementary to, or may be being made for application for funding elsewhere. Section 2 are network details, so just information on the lead organization as well as the other network members. Again, please note the activity dates and noting the new end date of September 30th, 2025. Okay, on to section 3, which outlines the details of the activities. Please consult the program guide for any additional comments and or notes on how to complete these sections and what materials to add. So first is the network activity title. Please give the network a name if it doesn't already have one, and provide some keywords to help us identify areas of interest. Next is the non-confidential summary. Content from the non-confidential summary may be posted on CAAIN's website or other communication materials. The summary will also be provided to our board of directors, who will make the final funding decisions, so ensure that it is accessible by a general audience. The next section is the network background and activity summary. The rest of the application will be assessed by both external experts as well as CAAIN's Technical Advisory Committee. The committee is made up of experts from a wide variety of areas within agriculture and technology. So again, ensure that your responses can be understood by a wide audience. In this section, remember that the goal of the program is to support the activities of the network in collaboration and evaluation of emerging technologies towards adoption by the industry. The need for the proposed solutions should be clear and driven by those who will be using and or paying for its use commercially. In this section, network activity design and methodology, provide a detailed plan for how the technology or technologies will be evaluated. If a specific solution has been identified, provide information on the state of its development and commercial availability. Provide as many details as possible to allow for a comprehensive evaluation by our panel of experts. Also important in this section is a description of data management, its collection, storage, analysis, etc. The ability to complete section identifies the potential risks to the network's activities. So please identify significant risk factors and any steps that will be taken to manage those risks. The anticipated goals, deliverables, and outcomes section quantifies the results of the network's proposed activities identified previously in the application and should also relate directly to the network's design and methodologies of activities. Consult the program guide for details and notes on how to approach the section.
Gerson, there's a question. So to be clear, in 3.5, section 3.5, the focus on our testing and validation process, not our overall approach to building and delivering the network.
The focus is on our testing and validation process. I'm not sure what the question is there.
Okay, so the participant is asking if the focus is just on the testing and the validation process, or will it be on the overall approach to building and delivering the network?
Both items will be evaluated.
Okay.
So the one of the goals of this program is to support the concept of networks and collaboration towards creating value and validating novel technologies. So specific technology review or evaluation by the network is one vehicle by which the network can collaborate. But we are interested in how both will function.
Okay.
So this program is not meant to support one-off projects, but the development of networks.
Okay.
Back to yes. So the next section, 3.8, is the benefit to industry. This is another key section of the application. Consider the benefits of the network members coming together from different perspectives over the short and long term. This will also answer in part the previous question. So number one, consider the economic benefits to different members of the network and stakeholders who are not or not yet part of the network. Be specific as possible. Similarly, consider the environmental and social benefits of the network members coming together and the enhancement coming from CAAIN support. Again, be as specific as possible and be as insightful as possible for the evaluators. The next section, 3.8, is the knowledge transfer and likelihood of adoption. In this section, describe how the outcomes of the proposed activities will make their way to the ultimate users. If the technology is proven to be effective, will it be adopted immediately and widely? Why or why not? Section 3.10 is a section on describing the network members. So describe the purpose of the network if not done so previously in the sections prior. Describe the expertise of the network members and its value to the network as a whole, as well as ensuring that all appropriate expertise for any specific proposed activities are in place. Section 4 is the budget. So please complete the full financial workbook spreadsheet that has been provided, and contact us if you have any questions regarding completing that spreadsheet. Also, the section asks for a justification of major or significant expenses. So this is an opportunity to talk about some unique purchases or unique situations that are required to support this project, and to help justify the cost of some of those expenditures. Again, if you have questions on specific items that you are thinking of including in the section, please contact us. 4.3 are identifying other sources of support. So please identify other funds that the network is seeking to cover the same or complementary activities. Please note which source will be kept if funding is secured from CAAIN and other sources for the same activities are achieved to avoid double dipping. Note that CAAIN will also undertake a financial review of the networks to determine if the proposed activities can be completed as described. And lastly, a checklist for attachments. So again, as mentioned previously, the full financial workbook, in addition to the full proposal, a Gantt chart, diagrams and charts, if applicable, major costs or unique cost estimates, audited or accountant reviewed or notice to reader financial statements, resumes or CVs of key lead and network members, if appropriate, letters of confirmed cash or in-kind support from network partners. And again, a list of recommended reviewers and solutions if you haven't already sent those to us, and the consideration of linkages to foreign economies form that will be required to be completed.
We have another question.
Okay.
Are all of these things needed on the 16th, February 16th?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, February 16th, no. March 15th, yes. Yes. So for February 16th, a draft or any accompanying materials that are available at that time will be fine. But the deadline of the 16th will just allow CAAIN staff to provide feedback on the activities, proposed activities, and potential direction of the network and network activities. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Next item is the Gantt chart. So you have been sent an example Gantt chart. So I just wanted to make note of a couple of items. So one is the start dates, and so please use the Gantt chart years according to CAAIN's financial year of April to March. That's the first thing. And then on the left-hand side, I've circled the activity and subcategories. So make note of these categories as you'll be required to write them into the financial workbook as they are shown here in the Gantt chart.
We have another question, two more. So the first one says, if we don't have letters from those contributing by February 16th, is that okay?
That's okay. Yep.
Okay. And the second question is, can you please go back to the list of attachments and tell us exactly what you need and don't by the February 16th deadline?
Just a draft of the full proposal, if you wish feedback. So the supporting materials are not required at that time.
Okay.
But anything you have available that you would like reviewed and feedback on, you can send in at that time. Okay, I'll now go over the financial workbook briefly. I probably won't have all of the answers if you have questions, so hopefully Julie can jump in. So if you haven't looked at the spreadsheet, the financial workbook spreadsheet yet, please look at the first tab, the steps tab. These are the instructions, and you should complete it in this order. So I know usually I would complete spreadsheets according to the tabs going left to right, but please complete them in the order that you see here according to the instructions. So first, the two green tabs, the project profile and the project milestones, that will come from your Gantt chart, and then complete the 9 blue tabs of specific expenditures, and then the 2 orange tabs of that relate to foreign costs and funding summary, and then review your milestones tab, the green tab, and lastly, the project cost summary tab is populated automatically as you fill in. You'll see that they're filled in as you fill in the other tabs, that the summary spreadsheet or summary sheet is filled in automatically. Please also note, if you all the way over to the far right of the tabs are resource guides. So this includes CAAIN cost principles that are included in the program guide. So there's a copy or a version of them here as well, to make it easier for you to consult as you're filling in the financial workbook. Also, the next tab is the guidelines. So under each of the categories, there are some specific items that Julie has put together to identify eligible types of expenses and examples of expense types that are not eligible for reimbursement. I'll just say similarly, there is some information on managing indirect costs, foreign costs, and whether network members are affiliated or related to one another. Okay, so very quickly as an example, the project profile tab, this is what it will look like, and just an example of how to fill it out. So of course, in this example, there's the project lead or the network lead, which is in this case Taika Direction, with other network members being Laszlo Aeronautics and Ragnarok AI, and at the bottom they are receiving in-kind support from JoJo University. You'll notice on the right-hand side also that the start dates are listed as June 1st, 2024, with the end date of September 30th, 2025, and then the individual years are broken out by the year.
We have 2 questions. So for the benefit of everyone, the first question is, do we have to have all the financial contributions from partners secured by February 16, or is that something we need by March?
The financial contributions must be secured by March 15th, by the full application deadline.
Right. And the second question is, in the letters of cash or in-kind commitment, is a commitment for 100% of the budget or 60% that is not supported by CAAIN?
It should be 100% of the cash support coming from that source, from which 40% will be reimbursed by CAAIN.
That's the in-kind and the cash. Okay, so he said cash stroke or in-kind.
Yes, I'm referring to cash commitments only. In-kind support is not reimbursable by CAAIN.
Right.
So letters of support or commitment should identify whether it's cash or in-kind support that's being provided.
Okay. We can go on.
Okay, great. Great. So that's the project profile, and then on to the project milestones. Again, I've only started inputting some of the items. So from the Gantt chart, we've listed, say, 1.1, design a garden plot with a short description, and this is just coming from the example Gantt chart that you will have received. Identifying the milestone that this activity is associated with, the dates that those specific milestones will take place during, who the lead is, and what the outcomes or expected outcomes are. Note that the budget allocation is not filled in in this or on this page. It will be filled in or populated automatically. Also, the potential IP is a yes or no pull down selection that you'll see as you get into the spreadsheet. And then on to the blue tabs. So this is the specific expenses. So in this case, the staff level or the category has been identified. The project year that's associated with that activity is a pull-down menu that can be selected. A short description of that activity itself. Identification of whether this is a salaried employee or not, whether or not this is a new position that's been created for this activity, the hourly rate, the 12 hours billed, and then the total is calculated, as well as again the project milestones is selected and a pull down based on how it was input previously on the milestones page. Okay, so similarly, subcontractor costs. Again, the organization or the subcontractor is identified again with the year of the activity that will take place, a small or short description on the activity to be undertaken, an identification of whether or not this company is an affiliated company. That is, if there is shared ownership or shared directors of those companies. That's something that needs to be identified, whether or not they're Canadian. And again, the rate and number of hours billed are selected again along with the project milestones as previous. Okay. Again, going on to the equipment tab, so very much of the same information with project year as a pull down, and the project milestones as a pull down menu based on the milestones tab that you previously completed as well. If you have some specific questions on amortization, please contact us and we can chat further about some of the details on how to decide the amortization period, and as well as the scrap or residual value afterwards. Okay, materials and supplies tab. So again, the same types of categories. Please contact us if you have any specific questions on which items should be or should go under which category, whether something you have in mind are materials and supplies or equipment, etc. There are some specific rules around travel, and those will be in one of those yellow tabs on how to identify eligible travel versus ineligible travel. So please consult those guides or contact us for details. In regards to travel, as I said, not all items may be eligible, so please contact us if you're not sure. On the other direct costs and IP, generally these are legal fees, but if you have other expenses that you think belong here, please let us know. And finally, we have a category of ineligible costs. So these are their costs according to our guidelines and cost principles that cannot be supported, but we recognize that they are or can be valuable in the successful completion of the activities. And these costs, although not reimbursable, we recognize will increase or do add to the value of the overall network activities as well. So please do include them. And finally, in-kind contributions from say government sources or academic institutions, etc. So the next tab to complete is the funding summary. And this is just a very quick summary of the cash contributions from each of the organizations, as well as the in-kind contributions from other or the same organizations, with the calculation of the cash contributions that will be coming from CAAIN. And so, again, one of the previous questions asked whether or not the support letter should include the total of the support or the value of the 60% that's coming. And in order for the budget to work out, please ensure that the supported contributions are at the 100% level, so that the 40% can be calculated within this financial workbook. Next, you'll see the project cost summary. So going back towards the front of the tabs towards the left, and please note the cell F17, and the highlighted cell here is the total project costs that are eligible for CAAIN support. So in this case, it's $125,597. And this is an important number to keep in mind, because on the next page, if you go back to the summary page, oftentimes we see that the blue boxes at the bottom, the total contribution in cash that's been circled, and the total project costs of $166,339 are highlighted in red. And if it's highlighted in red, it means that the cash contributions do not match the proposed budget. And those cash contributions are circled above. So $50,000 from Taika, $20,000 from Laszlo, $5,000 from Ragnarok. So in this example, Taika has increased their contribution from 50,000 to 50,358 in order to balance out the budget based on the cost of the proposed activities. Having made the additional adjustment, the entire budget balances out. And that is the end of our presentation. That's everything that we have wanted to present. So we're able to take some additional questions right now, and I'll invite some of my colleagues to help answer any questions as well.
Thank you, guys. And so yes, there are two questions. One is still about the presentation. So the person is not asking about the session or the recording, but the actual presentation itself. Will it be shared?
Sorry, will the presentation be shared? Yes.
Yes. So not this Zoom session, but the PowerPoint maybe. Will it be, can you share it for everyone?
We can make that available. If
By request?
By request, yes. Yeah. We've only presented a summary. The details will be within the program guide and the application forms themselves.
Okay. There's another question. Are there any definitions of in-kind contribution versus cash contributions? We see a variety of definitions on in-kind amongst funders, and it will be great to get clarity on where the line is drawn at CAAIN.
I'm not sure what the with the contexts of that question from their previous knowledge, but for us, it's cash contributions are what CAAIN can match. So not shares or promissory notes, it's actual cash. So we need to see money moving from one source to another. So if it's their invoices, that it's a copy of the invoice plus proof that the invoice was paid. If it's salaried employees, it would be a timesheet plus a note or some type of document to show that employee was paid.
Can you give an example of the in-kind?
In-kind would be services or activities for which there's no cash exchanging hands, or if an activity is being paid for by a partner for which they're not going to seek reimbursement or cannot seek reimbursement. So if it's a university providing services, academic services, the time of that employee or student or staff member would not be reimbursed.
Right, thank you.
I'll also note about signatories to the project funding agreement. So successful projects, of course, will enter into a project funding agreement with CAAIN, and there's an opportunity for fewer or more members of the network to become signatories to the project funding agreement. Now there are some differences or some ramifications on what that means. One being that members that are signed on to the agreement or who sign the agreement are able to request reimbursement of their expenditures to CAAIN directly. It can get a little complicated with the wording, but otherwise they would be classified as subcontractors, even though they are providing cash to the project, and that's an ISED term. But we can work through those specific questions as they come up. Now, something else that is significant is that as a subcontractor, the project members cannot claim salaries because they would be issuing an invoice, and presumably the cost of salaries and benefits would be included in the cost or in the value of the invoice. However, if they are a signatory to the agreement, then they can claim the salary of their employees to CAAIN directly and be paid by CAAIN directly. I expect there might be some questions regarding that, so I'll just wait to see if any pop up in the Q&A box. To the person who asked about in-kind versus cash contributions, please contact us or provide a little bit more detail on if you have a specific example on where on what you think.
At what stage does an applicant have to prove that they can commit or provide their contribution to the project?
At the final submission stage.
So that will be March.
March 15th, yes.
How can they prove it?
Well, with a letter of commitment.
Say for instance they say if the project for example is going to be $1 million, and then they are asking for 40% maximum from CAAIN based on if they check all the boxes or the requirements, and then they are supposed to commit to the 60%. How can they prove or show that they are in good standing financially to provide that 60%?
We ask for the audited financial statements to be included at the time of submission. So CAAIN will undertake a financial review of the organizations based on based on those financial statements as well. Make sure that you have filed your annual returns to avoid delays of filing any subsequent financial or funding agreements. That's something else to add. The 4% administration fee, it is just that, it's administration fee levied by CAAIN for project management and to maintain the projects.
So I think they need to also include like with the project team members. I think we realize that a lot of times some of the applicants don't include specific roles. They just mention the names and then their qualifications, and they don't mention specific roles.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one important thing to look at.
The contributions of the network members should be identified, especially in terms of evaluating a specific piece of technology or equipment.
What does an applicant have to do, or like a project have to do, if there's some changes to say company name, certain positions, maybe they lose a team member and then they are adding on a new one. What do they have to do?
If it's if the changes are take place after the submission, please notify us of the change. If there are no more questions right now, we will close off the webinar. I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and please contact us if you have any questions as you work through the application and the different forms.